Greetings. Welcome to my review of Revit Walls as we continue to build the Barcelona Pavilion. Let's take a quick look where we left off, taking care of the floors and flat roofs. So I'm going to jump up here to a quick access toolbar, check the drawings that I have open. So we have a south elevation, we have our finished floor plan, which we're looking at right now, a three-dimensional view. I also opened up the floor base. I don't really think I need that one, so I'll probably close it, and a section as well. So let's jump. So this is our, I finished cutting in the second, or putting in the second pool, so that's why I jumped over to this drawing. I'm going to close that. Let's just see what we have here. So this is the control tab. I'm holding control and hitting tab, and this is where we should be right now. So we have two roofs. Each roof has a second layer there. You see that, and then we have our base, and we have two pools underneath, which is here's pool one, the larger of the two pools, and the second pool. Then we have a base. So that is a total of 2, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 floors to get as far as we did so far. All right, so now let's just talk about walls. I'm going to bring up my images of the pavilion. So actually, well, let's look at a floor plan first, or some exploded axons, perhaps. Let's go find a floor plan. This one looks decent. Let's take a look. Let's zoom in a little bit. Okay, so we're looking at solid walls. We're not going to take care of the glass, and it's one or the other. Either we have these gorgeous walls that are wrapped in these beautiful stones, or we have the storefront. We're not taking care of the storefront now. This plan is pretty good. It seems to show the difference between the two fairly well, but we'll keep looking. So see a solid wall here, see a solid wall here, here as well, and then we wrap it around here. And then this is a solid wall here, again here, 1, 2, 3, 4. I believe this is all solid back here. Let's keep looking. Let's see what we see here. Let's zoom out a little. Zoom, yep, out. Yeah, this one shows it well too. We can see these tiny little mullions quite well. So this one actually shows it perhaps a little better. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and there's a little punched-in window right there. That's the only punched-in window. Then we have a wall here. Again, wrapping this side with this three-sided wall. This guy and this guy. All right, so here we are at a smaller pool. So we'll be building these walls. Here's our center wall. And we can see how the glass just sits right inside the wall there. See how the roof is sitting on both walls, so all walls are coming in at the same height. There's that punched-in window there. And here we could see this little sliver of wall. So that means that wall is coming through, and then the storefront windows are tucked in. So they don't meet at the same exact place. There's a little reveal. We would call that a reveal. Looks like about perhaps 6 or 8 inches or so. Okay, so I think we kind of got the lay of the land here. Let's jump into our finished floor. I'm going to bring over my review sheet. Let's take it from the top. So walls, architecture tab, build panel, wall. So we'll locate the tool there. We will use 8-inch generic walls. In the property box, we want to set the finish face to exterior. Location line, finish face exterior. So let's walk through those first few steps here. All right, so here we are, architecture, wall. Then in the property box, and we got lucky, there's our 8-inch generic, so there are quite a few more. But we got lucky there. And then the location line that I was referring to. So let's zoom in. We're going to start right over here. So we're on this finished floor plan, and we could see our underlay. But we could also, we really kind of have to zoom in to see it. But when we really zoom in far, we could see this black line here that's getting highlighted as I move my cursor on top of it. That's the floor that we drew. So that is there, and you can see it actually pretty well right here. Once I touch it, you can see all those blue lines coming to the front. So the information's here in this floor plan, even though it's and the important part, what I'm really getting at, is that we want to place these walls according to the floors that you have drawn. We don't, if the floors have left the drawing beneath it a little bit, that's okay. It is what it is, and we want to place these. We want to snap these walls to your actual drawing, not to the JPEG. So the JPEG is kind of secondary at this point. We want the walls to snap right to these floors. Okay, let's take another look at the review sheet. So we are now in the property box, and we're going to discuss the location line of these walls. Okay, so that's important. So we come to wall, architectural wall. Here's our generic 8-inch wall, and now the location line. So there are a couple different options here. Let's go with let's see what wall center line does. So this basically is talking about where the wall is going to drop. So right here, this is our wall. You could zoom in. This is our floor. So we want it to snap to here, and that's what's happening right there. That's the end point about the snap. And when I start this, you see the wall coming, and it is, as we dictated, the wall center line. We were pulling right from the wall center line. That's where my cursor is now, and that's the spot that got dropped right there, the wall center line. So that is not what we want. So if we go back one more time, and then let's go with exterior. So if we do the exterior, now it is putting the wall on the outside of our floor. So we don't want that either. Let's just do one more, and this is the one that we want. And then we could go to interior. Finish face interior, and then we could start right here, and now it is dropping the wall where we want it to be. Now it's not back here. We don't have that little reveal that I was referring to in the photographs, but we'll come back and adjust that. So I'm just going to run around now and snap this to, so these nice dark black lines are my floor. So snap one, snap two. And these walls actually are probably the same on both sides, and we only really care about the this one I'm going to have to do by eye here. And then I'm going to stop it actually, and then I'm going to come from this direction. And then those two walls should join up nicely when I get down there. So it does let me snap to that, even though it's not a corner or anything. It does let me snap right to it. And then when I start pulling in this direction, it starts landing in the correct area. And then once, let's see what happens here, and those walls nicely joined each other. So that looks pretty good. Now I did not pay attention to anything except that let me select one. Go back to our cheat sheet that I did not go any further on. So we just discussed the location line, but we did not discuss the top and bottom constraints. All right, so I jumped the gun too quickly. You absolutely need to look at all these three things before you start drawing. It's not too late to repair it, but it's much easier to look at it in the first place. So let's do that. Let's select one of these walls. Just like the floors, how we were sending them up to different levels, the walls work the same way. So actually, I could see what's happening there, and it's not what I wanted. So let's take a look at the 3D view, and we could see that my walls are way too big. They did appear to land quite nicely. Let's take a look at our inside corner right here. These are the kind of places that we zoom in and we look for neatness. So this all looks good. I don't see any overhangs. So it landed very nicely. Now this, of course, looks silly. My walls are going right through our ceiling. So let's just repair the problem right here. So my wall, the location line, good. They are starting on the finished floor. That is correct. They are starting at 0 on the finished floor. There's no offset. But here, the top of these walls is unconnected, and they are set to 20 feet. That is not what I want. So I'm going to select this wall right here, and we are going to take it to the bottom of the ceiling. And there it goes. Now it drops. And now we should be able to see that that looks much better on the underside of this ceiling. So right there. So the wall ends and the roof begins. That's what we want. And well, that's one way to take a quick look. The more accurate way is to look at section, of course, but I'm just kind of flying around. So now I'm going to select, hold Control, select, Control. Let's take all these unconnected walls to the bottom of the ceiling. Much better. Okay, so being there's 4 walls was not a big deal to repair, but it's more important. It's just better practice to review all of this right away. So let us go back to let's jump back to our finished floor, and well, let's draw a few more walls, and then we'll take a look in section. Okay, so where else do we have walls? We have a wall right here. This is a freestanding wall with the bench up to it. So wall. This one, so this might not matter as much because we're not snapping, but we want it to fall in the correct place. Let's try it, and if it doesn't work, we'll change up our plan. So finish floor. Let's get this right this time. Take it to the bottom of the ceiling. Actually, let's change it right now. I think it'd be easier to get it correct the first time if we just go to wall center line, and then we start right in the center. And that's a little easier. Now we can zoom in and finish our wall right there. Very good. Okay, so other walls that you have to finish. So we go 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. The rest appears to be storefront glass to me. Okay, so that's how we do that. I'm going to let you finish those other walls. Let's just jump back to the review sheet. So we covered all that. Now, after placing a wall, select it to be certain that the double arrows are on the exterior face of the wall on which you will apply material. So this is an important point, if maybe a little less so for this, being that we have the same materials on both sides of these walls. So there's my wall. I selected it, and now these 2 arrows are telling us that when we apply materials to this wall, it's going to end up on this side. Or it's more specifically, it's telling us that that's where the exterior materials are applied. We have a generic wall, so there's no materials applied to it yet. When we get to our next project, a house or any building that we're not starting with generic walls, in general, it's more efficient to start with specific types of walls. We don't have, Revit's not really loaded with what we need. But when we get to our next project, which is a house, we'll find a more complicated built-up wall, a residential stud, plywood kind of wall. And in that case, it does matter where the outside, because if we have a stucco finish, it belongs on the outside, obviously, not the inside of the house. So at that point, paying attention to this is more important. Here, let's just take a look. So I select my wall, and now these finishes are coming to the interior. I don't have a good picture inside this part of the building, but I suspect it's stone on the inside as well. I could be wrong. And then, so if that's the case, if we find that this is incorrect, then we could just take this wall, just here, I'm already right, it goes right into the move. Once I have it selected, I'm in move, and I just pull the wall down, and now that's on the outside. So then I click, now it's on the inside. So I'm not going to worry about this just yet, but when we get to applying materials to these, it will matter. Again, less so for our building, but something that we need to be aware of. Okay. All right. So let's just take a look where we are here. So our visual style, there we are in hidden line, and here we are on wireframe. So the wireframe is what's allowing me to see through these walls. So when it comes time to locate this window, for instance, we need to see through the wall. So wireframe is the way to go with that. Okay, after placing, so we took care of that. So making walls semi-transparent in order to see them. So this I am going to go through. For our purposes, again, right now, wireframe is fine. But there might be a point where you want to solve this problem in a different way and not have your floor plan on wireframe. If you're working on a multi-story building and everything's on wireframe, it could be more confusing than it's worth. So let's put this on hidden line. So now we can't see beneath that floor plan. Let's follow this path and see what happens. So we're going to select a wall, and we're going to go to the Modify tab, View Panel, and select the paintbrush. The wall, so Modify, View Panel, Paintbrush. Select the wall, Modify, View, Paintbrush. Override graphics in View. Let's override the category, right? So again, so this is talking about the visual display of this wall, and like most cases, we could override just this wall that I have selected, or we could override the whole category. I'm going to go for the whole category. Okay. From here, we're going to open up the Visibility Graphics dialog. Excuse me. I'm going to scroll down to Walls. So this is all the different pieces that could make up a model. Scroll right down to Walls here. And now let's just see what this says. So we're going to override by category. We did that. Visibility and graphic overrides, and then Walls, select Transparency and override. Okay, so here's Transparency, here's Walls, select and override, and make that transparency 100%. Okay, Walls, Transparency, connect the dots, there it is, apply, okay. And so I think our walls have gone, become transparent, but we have a floor in the way, so that might be, let's hide this floor. So let's hide the category. And now it does confirm, now that floor is out of the way, again we could see through this, even though we are on hidden line. Okay, so that's important. Right now in floor plan we could get by with it in wireframe, but again, if you had a multi-story building and you put the floor plan on wireframe, you're going to get a lot of visual noise, things getting in the way of what you're trying to see. So by selecting the wall, going to Modify View Paintbrush, and this is just override by category or element. Again, opening up this Visibility Graphics dialog. This is something you will have to get to know. All right, so that's why we introduce it now. And then we come back to our light bulb, which is telling us that right there in green, our floor is hidden. So I'll select it, I'll right click, and I'll say unhide in view. Or doesn't want to work for me. Let's go one more time. Select. Let's do reset. There we go. That should do it. Now we turn that off, and now my floor is back. Now we could actually do that just the same. It's just to follow this thought through. Let's just do that. So come back to the paintbrush, override by category, open the Visibility Graphics, and let's go to floors. There they are. Transparency, override. Let's just see what happens if we make this half transparent. Apply, OK. And now we have a partially transparent floor, which is right there. Okay. So again, all in the name of navigating the model and being able to see what you need to do. So I'm throwing this in here too, this just to mention this split face. This is also important to know, not so much for this project, but for others. So I'm going to just move that aside. I'm just going to draw this. Well, let's just jump into the 3D. Let's just jump right into the 3D. Here we are. Okay, so here's a wall. So split face is what allows us to put different materials on walls or other surfaces at different times. This kind of belongs with the walls. It doesn't really belong with this project, but I'm going to make mention of it here. Just keep it in the back of your mind for when we move forward with our second project. You might find it useful. So then we come to the Modify tab, and then we go to Geometry, and here is Split Face right there. So it divides the face of an element, such as a wall or floor, into regions for the application of different materials. So there's that. And then we could select our wall, and then we go into our sketch mode. I will just drop a rectangle there. I'll give it the green light, and now this wall has two different faces. There's that face, the main face, and also this one, and I could apply different materials to them. This is kind of too soon for this. It's not appropriate for this project. We don't need it, and we're not doing materials yet, but it does belong with walls, kind of, so I'm just throwing it in there for now. And let's just see, we should be able to just delete that without a problem. So we'll probably return to that when we look at our next project. All right, so that's it on walls. Let's, just before we tune out, let's take a quick look at our sections and see how we did. Let's move this section over here. So we always want to test everything in section. 3D's fun and all, but section is the most descriptive. So again, this is our view area. It's cutting off my base there a little bit, so I'm going to pull that out. So this is our base, the sidewalk, our main floor, our pool. Here we are in our small area. So there's our, oh, and I didn't fix that wall, I don't believe either. So here are our roofs, and there's our wall coming nicely in between them. So we should not see, we should be checking this in section and making sure that this wall is not appearing up there, okay? We don't want to just pull things like that. We want everything to be dictated here by location line. And the brilliance of this is that when we move, when we come to elevation here, for instance, and then all of a sudden there's a big change, and then we say, now we want everything to be a foot higher, that's just going to jump up, and all the walls and everything that's been associated with that is just going to go with it. You know, that's not the case in CAD. CAD is not nearly as friendly in that regard. So it's very intelligent in that regard. Everything moves together. That's the so rather than just saying that these walls are 9 feet, more specifically, we want to say these walls start down here, they end here, and if this place and that place change, the walls are going with it. So very efficient in that regard. Let me just jump back to that plan one more time. So right here, I said we didn't finish that wall. So now we select, so this is one of the, we generally try to avoid just pulling on things, but that's what needs to happen right there. So then our window is part of it. Window is inboard, okay? So finish up these walls on this side, 1, 2, and 3, 4, and 5, okay? All right, thank you, and good luck.